Hey guys, so let's look at a program to check if a triangle is equilateral, isosceles or scalene. These are three different types of triangle and they usually vary in the dimensions of the sides of the triangle. So for a triangle, let's assume this is a triangle with sides A, B and C. So if the triangle has to be equilateral, all three sides should be equal, meaning that A should be equal to B, should be equal to C, should be equal to A. A should be equal to B, B should be equal to C, A should be equal to C also. For isosceles, any two sides can be equal. A can be equal to B or B can be equal to C or C can be equal to A. Not all three, any two sides can be equal. For scalene, the property is none of the sides of the triangle are equal to each other. So, if you're putting equality conditions, you can join everything by the logical AND operation for the equilateral. Then it will satisfy the condition where all three sides are equal. All three, A equal to B, B equal to C, C equal to A, everything satisfies, it will become an equilateral triangle. If you join everything by a logical OR operator, meaning that any two sides can be equal, anything can trigger the whole condition to be true. If one is true, remaining two are false, also it will be true. If any two are true, one is false, also it will be true. So if that satisfies, then it can be an isosceles triangle. If none of these conditions are satisfying, that is a case where everything becomes false, whether when you're joining with a logical AND operation, it is false. Whether you're joining with a logical OR operation, it is false. In such a condition, it means that none of the sides are equal. That time, it becomes a scalene triangle. Let's look at it. We'll be using a normal else if ladder. So you can start by input of all the three sides of a triangle A, B and C. So you can start your condition. The conditions to check is if A equals to B, B equals to C and C equals to A. So we'll be using the operator to check the condition, which will have one more equal to. So if A equal to B, B equal to C, C equal to A. All these should be joined by the logical AND operator, meaning all has to satisfy. If all these satisfies, you can go ahead and write the printf statement that it's an equilateral triangle. Now, if these condition doesn't satisfy, these conditions don't satisfy, you can have your else if condition where you're going to write the same thing. A should be equal to B, B equal to C, C equal to A, but you will be joining them by the logical OR operation. That means in this logical OR operation, if one is true and the remaining are false, also it will satisfy. If both are true and one is false, also it will satisfy. So if this by joining the OR condition, these satisfies, that means it is going to be a isosceles triangle. So you can go ahead and printf that it is an isosceles triangle. Now, both when joining with logical AND operation and joining with logical OR operation, what if the conditions become false? That means it should be false and false and false for everything to become false. And on giving the dimensions, even if the logical OR operations has to become false, it means all three should become false. Then also it will become false. That means none of the sides are equal to each other. So directly you can go ahead and have an else case and printf where the triangle is scalene. This is the logic. You have three dimensions of the triangle and you're going to compare its equality with each other. When you're comparing and joining with logical AND operation, it means that all three sides have to be equal for the condition to satisfy. So if all three dimensions are equal or all three sides are equal, then obviously it becomes a equilateral triangle. Now when you're comparing sets of two sides to each other and conjoining everything with a logical OR operation, it means any one can be true for an OR operation to trigger the true value. If any one of these conditions trigger, that means any two sides are equal. If any two sides are equal, it is an isosceles triangle. Now for a condition to bring out false in both connection of logical AND and logical OR, that means all the three equalities should be false. For them to be false, that means none of the sides are equal to each other. Therefore, it will trigger the statement where the triangle is scalene. We'll have a look at this in the code. So I am starting off with a part of the code which is written where I have already declared A, B and C for three dimensions of the triangle, and I have taken input for the three sides of the triangle. Going ahead with just the, we're going to just focus on the conditions. So if what we have to compare is A equal to B and B equal to C and C equal to A. If these three conditions are satisfied by joining of the logical AND operation, you can go ahead and printf that it is equilateral. So in order for this to happen, I will write a statement on top. You can go ahead and start with the printf statement suggesting the triangle is, and then waiting for the output in all these cases of if else ladder. So else if joining all these conditions with a OR operation. I'll just copy paste this because it's the same thing, just that change the conditions to the logical OR operator. And after this you can have that printf statement that it is isosceles, and if nothing else works, the printf statement will be scalene. Okay, now checking the code, I don't think I've missed anything. Yes, let's take a run and see. Enter three sides of the triangle. So I'm going to enter 15, 15, 15 to trigger the equilateral condition, and it prints the triangle is equilateral. So the isosceles can be any two sides, so you can take 10, 10, 15 and prints isosceles. You can take 10, 15 and 10, it will print isosceles. You can take 15, 10 and 10, also it will print isosceles. Now take any random values 12, 10 and 15, three unequal values, and it prints the triangle is scalene. So this is the main crux of the program where we have to concentrate. Same condition checking. The only difference is for equilateral we have joined everything using logical AND operation. For isosceles we have joined everything using the logical OR operation. And we know if it has to be scalene, both of these should be false. So both of these will be false only if all conditions will be triggered out as false. That means obviously none of the sides are equal to each other, and therefore the triangle is by default scalene. Thank you.